have seen people retire in some institutions and then there's nobody to take over from them. Why? Because nobody was prepared to succeed them. And that is not good for an industry like this. So please, we need to put hands together.
Collaboration, knowledge transfer, and inclusivity. These are some key ingredients needed in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. Hello and welcome. You're watching another episode of Focus on Amakinyo Bakeye. Now, on this episode, we'll put a spotlight on the 12th Practical Nigerian Content and highlight some takeaways from the summit. It has been 3 days of discussions about Nigeria's oil and gas industry, finding lasting solutions to address issues inhibiting the growth of the industry are top on the agenda for these delegates, who are mostly government officials, private sector players, and industry experts. The summit, according to organizers, since its inception, has tried to make a case for the need to boost local content in the oil and gas industry. Little wonder there's been an increase in local content to 54%, but it doesn't just end there, as the conversations continue to address some new challenges arising from local content participation in the oil and gas industry.
The signs that I see with some of the indigenous operators, give them a chance, they will want to bring experts to come and manage their business. Because what is paramount to them, in the first instance, having borrowed money from international lenders, they want to see how they will pay the loans. So they would rather bleed the assets in order to pay back those loans, and they don't care. And they form advocacy group, like we heard during some of the panel sessions, to tell you now that local content is becoming expensive for them. But it is the same platform in that provision within the Act, which says first consideration must be given to Nigerians in the lease of assets or acreages. That is that provision that has given them that opportunity. But today, as far as they are concerned, profit is what they want. They don't care about how they got there.
We have made it a priority to ask ourselves, most of the strong standing indigenous companies today are either championed or owned by people that have come out of some of the IOCs. And that is because these people were properly trained by these IOCs. Question: who are they training in return? Who are they training to come behind them? When they have to stay or go off the stage, because whether I like it or not, you can't remain there forever. Who is going to fit into your shoes? I think this is very, very important, and we must be deliberate.
Comments and beliefs like this can serve as a catalyst to boost local content participation in the oil and gas industry. With an increasing number of participants and businesses across the value chain, some share their thoughts on the impact this is having on their businesses.
We have come to be as a result of the local content policy of this government. So we are local content, as you see us, and we are producers, and we are also domestic investors. Most of us are not only producing oil and gas, but we're also going into refining, and trying to grow refining capacity. Most of the successful, or the two successful modular refineries that you have in operation in this country today were established by our members, Walter Smith and Aradale. Those refineries are doing very well, and they're very profitable.
We are primarily first an upstream producer of gas. And we have installed today a gas plant with a capacity for about 100 million scf of gas. We just this year got to a peak of about 65 million scf per day, and we're growing that. We're growing that through focused exploration for our gas reserves, We're growing that through development drilling for our gas in order to bring more gas molecules to the fore. But it's not just that. We are also going through a critical facility investment now that would see us become a producer of LPG in less than a year from now.
Now we understand that gas is a cleaner fuel. We understand that it's cheaper, especially now that they have removed subsidy on the petroleum products. Now we have understood that it's also more or less going to reduce greenhouse emission and as well as cheaper fuel. However, the most important thing is to understand the value chain. As the word implies, gas is also very delicate and it's very costly to produce. But the opportunity starts from the wellhead gas. So how can you bring the gas into a lower pressure? That's the most important thing. So there exists almost every opportunity that exists in the upstream side of the oil and gas can be replicated into the gas. The only difference is the pressure. And the only difference is that one is compressible, whereas the other one is incompressible.
The conversations that has happened here over the last maybe 5-6 years has made such an impact. Now, a few of us can boldly claim to have been part of some of the biggest projects in the oil and gas sphere in the last 5 years. We can boldly say that. We would never have had that opportunity. No how, no magic. We would not have had that opportunity. So you're talking Total, you're talking Shell, you're talking Train 7, which is the biggest thing right now. A few of us are very active. Mycom is very active on there. Coleman is active on there. A couple of other of our members are active. That would not have been an issue before.
Simbi Wabote and his team serve as the brain behind the push for more local content and have ensured a more transparent industry. With his tenure wrapping up, he shares some of the milestones achieved so far.
One of the landmark things that today the general public can see beyond the ones that only oil and gas practitioners can see is the Osubi airstrip in Warri, Delta State. I started that project from a forest to what it became. So today, anytime I land on that airstrip, I have good pimples because I recall when my office was in a container in a bush to bring it to what it was. One of the landmark things I will be happy with NCDMB is this building you're sitting in. We pride ourselves that is the tallest functional building in the South, South, and Southeast geopolitical zone. That in itself is history, and I'm sure it will take time for states in the Southeast and South-South to surpass that feat. The last skyscraper that was built in the South-South in Rivers State was built by Alfred Dieter Spieth, the then governor of Old Rivers State, and that was in 1972. So you see how many years it took us to get again another skyscraper in the South-South geopolitical zone. So that's one of the significant things that I'm proud of. You see the facility, the 17-story building, our 1,000-seater auditorium, our 4-level car park, and our 10 megawatts gas-fired power plant. I think the other landmark achievement is how we actualize government pronouncement in the modular refinery space. We got together with Walter Smith, a private company, a typical private-public partnership arrangement. Today is one of the 2 actively working modular refineries in the country, 24/7. Every day we have 20 trucks for the past 2 years leave that facility. We've sold almost 600 million liters of AGO, naphtha, heavy fuel, as well as kerosene.
With local content playing a significant role in the oil and gas industry, Gabriel Aduda believes the role of the NCDMB has been pivotal in bridging the gaps left by international oil companies.
I couldn't be more elated than I am already because What we have always wanted is to see Nigerians own their resources, develop their own resources, be the mega players in their own industry. And I think that is one thing that local content has helped us to do. Prior to now, practically everything about oil and gas was termed expatriate, and people had to come from the outside, the IOCs and what have you, to be able to do these things. And then with time, Nigerians began to join the fold through employment and what have you. But the time comes where you want to take ownership of your own resources. And of course, we began to see that coming up. And I think it is largely because of what NCDMB has been able to achieve in driving local content in the oil and gas space that Nigeria today is not afraid of IOCs and their divestments. Because by and large, we simply position the local players to take over from the international players. And we have seen a growth in this. And what that simply means is that capacity has been built and is also still being built. And that is where what we are doing today, this entire conference is extremely important because it drives deep down the need for us to continue to pursue local content until such a time that whatever is oil and gas, we can start and complete the entire value chain all within ourselves.
The 12th PNC wraps up with a visit to a local player who was into metal and steel fabrication. With the summit pushing for more local content participation in the oil and gas industry, the attention now turns to benefactors to see if they can sustain the drive for more indigenous players in the value chain. But that's all on this episode of Focus On. I'm Aki Obakeye. Thank you for watching.